Have you ever felt that you lacked purpose or drive or motivation in your life? Not really sure where to go next? I really felt this way this year, 2025, and I spent this year really trying to find my purpose and ultimately trying to level up my life, and I'm not going to be speaking like level up your life like a lot of these toxic influencers, talking about do this, make $1 million, do drop shipping or some garbage like that. I'm talking about things that you can start doing today that will immensely help not only your mental but your physical health. So let's jump into this. Number 1, clarify your vision. Right? So what I mean by this is ultimately see what you want to become in the future. I know that sometimes that's hard, right? But I want you to look at it from what your ideal life can look like, right? I think it's very easy to look at your future and be like, I don't know where to go. But I want you to think about what your ideal life would be like and think about it from a deep perspective, not just like your job or maybe like where you live or how big your home is, but think of it more like, your career, like your long-term career, right? Not just like a job that you have right now. Your relationship, your health is also very important. And then good, productive financial goals, right? Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but that's not necessarily possible. But we can all have good financial habits. So start there and kind of clarify your vision, if you will. Be like, where do I want to be? You don't even have to go that far. You can go a couple years, 5 years, 10 years, and be like, I want to be here in that many years. And now the next part is creating number 2 is maybe a little bit harder. It's creating that game plan. But ultimately, if you have your vision, you can start creating your game plan. Where do you want to go? What are the steps to get to those goals? And really, none of the things I talked about are that difficult, right? The career you want to build, you can go out and you can start on those steps to getting to that career, whatever it is, whatever you want to get to. Your relationships, right? Your health and your finances. These are all things that you can start today. And I think sometimes these are some of the most important things in your life. I would also consider your faith to be equally as important as all of those. Finding a higher power, finding faith in something greater than yourself is really important to your mental health, because when you start viewing the world as it's only about me, then you start to lose a lot of compassion and you start to isolate yourself from those really important people around you. Number 3, and really important, is to develop new skills. In a world where a college education isn't really worth that much, employers are looking for skills. They're looking for experience. Develop those skills, right? This ties into 1 and 2. You can't get to where you're going, and it's hard to clarify your vision if you don't know what skills that you need to help you get there. Right? You can see yourself in 5 years, but you really got to narrow down the skills that you need, right? Whether that is, maybe it is having a college degree, but within that college degree, maybe it's you want to be really good at a certain thing, like a niche thing. In our world today, not many jobs are general. A lot of them are specialized. So if you're able to create, and put yourself out there as somebody who's really good at 1 or 2 things, as bad as that sounds sometimes, because you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. But sometimes if you're really good at just a couple things, you will make yourself indisposable. Number 4, stepping out of your comfort zone. And I know a lot of people talk about this. Get out of your comfort zone, go try something new. But I really think it's important. I think nowadays we sit in our home and we just scroll on TikTok, and a lot of good ideas, if you have a good For You page, come to you. Be like, that would be cool to pursue this. That would be cool to do this hobby or pursue this career. But, we don't actually take that step to go and get out of our comfort zone, essentially like leaving your home and chasing what you want to accomplish. So try to do something, in the immediate future that kind of takes you out of that comfort zone. And I'll share an example for me, was honestly this YouTube channel. When I created this YouTube channel earlier this summer, this is something that I had never done before. And I ended up really liking it. And while my results may vary, right? I feel like my quality of content has gotten better. I've grown this to over 150 subscribers, which to me is a lot. And I'm always looking to reach more people and create better content that more people will be able to engage with. And so while it was uncomfortable making these videos at first, I got better at it. And I'm proud of where I've come. And hopefully, it will help somebody and maybe yourself listening as well. So last but not least, and maybe the most important out of all these things I've talked about, is to upgrade your mindset. Your mind is extremely important because I heard this quote the other day. It was actually very insightful. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that, if you think about it, because at first it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but when you think about it, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right. The second you start questioning yourself and thinking you can't is usually when you slow down, you don't have the confidence, and you stop your pursuit. And that's pretty dangerous because all these things that you've worked so hard for, in a moment of mental weakness, you're willing to give all those things up. And I've been there. And I've definitely been there this year. And you have to really go back to kind of step one and say, okay, what is my vision? What are these things that I'm trying to accomplish? Go back to your game plan. Keep developing those skills. Like, are these skills worth it? Sometimes in the short term, they don't feel like they're worth it. But long term, I look back on some of the things that I did, like right after college or even in college. And I'm like, man, I'm really glad that I did those things. Like, those things really sucked at the time, but they're super helpful to where I am today. So those are my 5 things to help upgrade or level up your life. And you can start all of these today. It's not a one size fixes all, or whatever you want to view it as. It's upgrade little pieces of your life, get a vision, create a game plan, develop your skills, step out of your comfort zone, and upgrade your mindset, right? Telling yourself that you can instead of telling yourself you can't is super important. I'm not necessarily going to go as far as like people say, like manifest your destiny or whatever, like manifest things in front of you. Manifesting is essentially a short-term idea of if you go hard enough at something for long enough, you will succeed. It's not necessarily manifesting, it's doing the hard thing to then, when you look back years later, you realize that the hardest part of the journey was how you got to the top of the mountain or to your goal, right? And you could say that's manifesting. I think people present manifest as like if you spin around in a circle 100 times and say that you're going to be a millionaire, you'll be a millionaire. However, if your goal was to become a millionaire, there are a lot of steps that go into that, clearly. So that's all I got today. I hope this can help some of you. It's really helped me out these